It's showtime. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Friday Coffee Moaning, where we don't give a monkey's badoolies about the badadas. How are we all? How are we? How are things? How are you? How are things? How are you? Lots to talk about today. It's Friday. Tomorrow's an interesting Curly Cooks. Got an interesting Curly Cooks tomorrow. A little bit of romance. Obviously not on Dina's side, but a little bit of romance, nostalgia, I think. I'm right in thinking. I think I might be making something a little bit special for Nads, because guess what it is on Sunday? It's our wedding anniversary. 22 big ones. 22 biggies. Wow. It's quite something, isn't it? Really. It's quite something. Anyway, let me just do this, because I'm just going to pop this up here, because then I can see your comments and read the stories, and I forgot to do it. So just bear with me 1 second. I just want to get live up. How are you all? How are you? Good? Are you good? Ashley, you good? Tracy Golden, feeling golden? Are you feeling golden, Tracy Golden? That's the question of the day. How golden do you feel? If I put you up there, I can see you all. Sorry. Zoe, Carla, Good Ship Lollipop. How you doing, Good Ship? How you feeling? You good? Ship Lollipop. Oh, I've just realised. You're Shirley Temples. It's the Good Ship Lollipop. Leah, I don't understand his diehard UK fans. It seems intelligence and common sense is not restricted to geographical location. Who are we talking about, Trump or Starmer? We're going to be talking about Trump, who's been bigly guilty. Been found bigly guilty. It was a witch hunt. It was a witch hunt. Everyone was after me. I was a good boy. They slapped my bottom and they told me off. But they're wrong. They're totally wrong. We're going to be talking about him. We're going to be talking about Trump, who's been slapped with 34 offences. Will he go to jail? I don't know. Will he go to jail? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Starmer's nasty purges. Keir Starmer. Who likes Keir Starmer? Come on, it's all right. You can share with us. Do you like a Good Ship Lollipop? My mum used to dress me up as Shirley Temple and put me on stage. Are you joking? Really? Still traumatized? Is that sort of like a kind of averse therapy? Is that what it's called? Aversion therapy. Calling yourself it. How are you, Fifi Cromack? So we're going to talk about Starmer. The Starmer charmer, as I'm starting to call him, is a geezer, but he's also a charmer. Starmer the charmer. Is he a charmer, though? I can't see any charm in those eyes. I'm sorry. And this isn't... I'm not eye-shaming him. I'm not eye-shaming him. But I see no charm in the Starms. You like Starmer Stormy Tube? That's cool. That's fine. I just see him as a manipulative, opportunistic Zionist, which I find really troubling. But there we go. We're going to talk about his kind of crisis, really. I'm going to talk about how Angela Rayner, is she going to make things more difficult for him now that she's going to she's backing Diane Abbott and all that kind of stuff. So, it's general erection fever. And so we need to chat about it every now and then, but we'll try and chat about it in a fun way. We're going to be talking about Loaded, the magazine. Anyone here old enough to remember Loaded magazine? Or anyone too old to not remember Loaded magazine? Loaded magazine, launched by a chap called James Brown. Not the James Brown. I feel good. I knew that I should. It's man in this world. All that sort of stuff. It's not him. It's a different James Brown. Loaded magazine. And we're going to be talking about Gen Zers living lies. It's quite a sort of philosophical piece, this, from The Sun. Gen Zers are almost traumatized by how the lives they lead on social media bear no relationship to their real lives, and they feel the pressure of that. And then other little bits and bobs. God, double. I can see you more clear. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. All right, okay, let's talk about Donald Trump. Shall we look? I tell you what. Let's look at the big baby. Let's watch the big baby after his verdict, shall we? Shall we check him out? Very solemn.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change.
It was a rigged. It was a rigged trial. It was a disgrace. I'll say it twice if I can't say it again. The weirdest point he made there was they didn't let us change the venue. They didn't. They didn't let us change the venue. I needed some aircon. I wanted to brush my hair. I needed a mirror. They wouldn't let me. It was a disgrace.
At 5% or 6% in this district, in this area, this was a rigged, disgraceful.
There I go again. It's a rigged, disgraceful. Something about 5 or 6%. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying words. This is a word salad. I don't care. I'm going to say numbers. I'm going to say numbers and I'm going to say bad words badly. I'm going to say really bad things about everyone, but we're going to say really good things about me. 5 to 6%. I don't know what I mean. I don't know what I'm saying.
Trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here and everybody knows what happened here.
What happened here? Nobody knows what happened here, but everybody knows. Everybody knows what happened. And if I lose the election, I'll have won the election because no one loses elections like me. I don't. It's just.
The Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man.
I'm a very innocent man. Just look at my face. Would you trust me?
And it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace.
It's a disgrace. It's still a disgrace. I've got the D word. I can use the D word. I'm going to keep using the D word. It's a disgrace. We couldn't change the venue. Yes, he can still run for presidency. I mean, me too, as you say, I can't see how this, I fail to see how this can't knock his candidature to the side in some way. But there are many over there in American media. I don't know if you agree. I don't know if anyone else. This moment is huge, says Laura Ann Jameson. I think there are many in America who do genuinely think this is it's gonna drive support for him. Laura Ann Jameson, I think this moment is huge and should have us all worried. It seems only fair that all our leaders, past and present, now face trial for their crimes. Well, he's kind of facing trial. I think the problem with all of this is that I think everything can be delayed. He's going to appeal. The sentencing is going to happen on July the 11th, which I think is 4 days before the Republican convention. You know, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look great. But at the same time, he's the master of turning every bit of negative news, isn't he, into electioneering, campaigning kind of gold. I think the worry I have is that he will play the martyred card. He'll do the victimhood. He'll play the victim card. You know, it's like Benjamin Netanyahu. He'll do he'll punch everyone in the room. He'll destroy everyone. And then if someone goes, ouch, he'll go, oh, you're attacking me. So I don't know. I mean, who here thinks, have we got any of our American followers, Carla? What do you think? Do you think this could, I suppose, I don't know, fatalists would want to argue this could be the start of civil war in America. The feeling I'm getting, I don't know whether it's because the press aren't covering it, but the feeling I'm getting is I'm not sensing that there are baying crowds in New York and on the streets. I don't feel that support is as evident as it was the first time around. Does he feel a bit like, is there there's always been an element about him, like he's a slightly out of date piece of mahogany furniture. And you kind of it keeps getting passed around. You kind of know it's kind of useful-ish, but you just don't know where to put it. Or it was handed down to you. I had a table like that. Nanny died. We had a table, didn't we? That Nanny Thelma didn't really like, and it was brown. It didn't really stand up properly. It had 3 legs. It would wobble. You could balance stuff on it. But we ended up sort of taking it when tragically Nan died, and we felt attached to it. And then we realized it's a pointless table. It's a three-legged table that doesn't function as a table. And I sometimes look at him and I wonder, is that what Americans think? Even Americans who like him? I mean, there's no one else. That's the point. We're so late in the game. We're so balls deep, as they say. Do you know what I mean? What's that? The people have understood the media's game, says Jenny J. They'll go and vote instead. Well, Jenny J, I'm fascinated to know what you mean. Do you mean insofar as people know the game, as in they? Do you think this is a witch hunt? Does anyone here think this is a witch hunt? Are there any sort of, not necessarily even Trump supporters, because the last thing I am is a Trump supporter, but I genuinely think one of the worst things that the Democrats and opponents of Trump could have done, let's assume he is a narcissist. I don't know why we might assume that. But one of the key aspects of a narcissist is attention. And one of the things they can't deal with is silence and no attention. And I have this huge feeling sometimes that rather the worst punishment Trump could have is worse than this, worse than him going to prison. The worst punishment he could have is no one talking about him. And I just sometimes wish or think that perhaps someone somewhere needed to just they all just needed to stop talking about him rather than really trying to get him done, if you know what I mean. It's counterproductive. I suppose what I'm saying is it's counterproductive. I get it. Whenever I have this conversation with Nad, she's like, no, it's really important. I said, no, but I said in one's kind of zeal to kind of get him. He absolutely, Sonia Dobrin. I think that. I think he thrives on the attention, and he thrives on negative attention, and he can turn all negative attention his way. I mean, he's the only man I know, or the only person I know who could. It's like he says, if let's win the election, except if we lose it, let's also claim we've won it. It's curious, isn't it? Or not believe it. So it doesn't matter. I mean, he's in a post-reality, post-truth world, isn't he? Where even if all the facts are staring you in the face, he'll just say, no, it's tilted and it's wrong. He's definitely narcissistic. Truth seeker. You say, yeah, you agree. It's a witch. It's absolutely a witch hunt. Trump is Tracy Watts. So in that analogy, sorry, I leapt off my analogy. Trump is my nan's three-legged table that has ceased functioning really as a table, and it was a sort of dark mahogany, but it didn't have the weight of mahogany either. So when you looked under it, you thought maybe this is mahogany, and I think it possibly wasn't. But he is. Yes, you're absolutely right. In my book, I'm asking, is he? Maybe many Americans don't have three-legged mahogany tables. I don't know. But it's misleading, says Michu. You're chatting away between you and Gabrielle. I haven't seen what Gabrielle said, so I'll jump off that. I'd love to know, can you still be president if you're jail? Shelley Silver, well, it looks like you can. It's not that they said you can, but it looks like the sort of American Constitution hasn't ever catered for the possibility. So no caveats have been built in. But the weird thing is, I think he can still be president in jail. But if I think I'm right, Michu, you might be able to correct me. But I don't think he can vote for himself, bizarrely. So I think he can run, but he can't vote for himself. Now, yes, Elaine Danning, our three-legged table had a thick orange veneer. I mean, it was browner than orange, but yes, the three-legged fanny. That's another way of putting it. Casey Matto, the charges were inflated from misdemeanors to felonies for no reason. The media should just ignore him like you would a 5-year-old. I agree. I think so. So many of his cases are in appeal and through appeal. And I think even this, once they've sentenced, and I think I don't personally think he's going to go to jail. Does anyone here think he might go to jail? I mean, there's a few saying the only thing that can actually end up or nudge him towards some jail time is if he keeps mouthing off about the judge and, breaking gagging orders and insulting people. And, if he gets a hitman out on one of the jurors or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? He's been very mouthy. So whilst he's not, it's a first offender and all that kind of stuff, I don't think he will. But I think there's something possibly quite satisfying in him having to do community service on the American subway. Jimmy Kimmel on his show says the jury spanked him harder than Stormy did, which I thought was quite a good line. He said, after 7 long weeks, the courtroom is empty and Donald Trump's diaper is full. So yeah, I mean, I personally don't think he will go, but yeah, he's so he will be sentenced on July the 11th. I don't know. I mean, my sense is that there isn't that sort of, he was a new prospect, wasn't he, back in whenever he was 2016 was it? He was a new prospect, whereas now he's not, is he? Let's face it. He's kind of an old, three-legged, orange veneered mahogany table. Oh, that's a lovely coffin. Anyway, in other news, what are we going to talk about? Starmer's nasty purge. Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart was is the US chat show host, Jewish, American. A lot of his content in the past has satirized the whole, Netanyahu, Zionist, Israel thing. Interestingly, someone notified him that the Labour candidate, Faiza Shaheen, that someone notified him on Twitter that she had been essentially barred or deselected. Partly one of the reasons being that she'd liked one of his sort of sketches about sort of victim blaming and self-hating Jews, and how no one can basically no one is allowed to criticize Israel. I mean, and and he's very funny. He pops up a lot on Instagram. But anyway, he tweeted back. He said in response to someone notifying him of this, someone said, Mehdi Hassan contacted him saying, "Not sure if you're following the Jon Stewart-related news out of the UK, but Labour's parliamentary candidate and Muslim woman, Faiza Shaheen, has just been suspended tonight from the Labour Party for liking on Twitter an old Israel video sketch of yours." Jon Stewart tweeted saying, "This is the dumbest thing the UK has done since electing Boris Johnson. What the actual fuck?" Quite astonishing, isn't it? Don't you think I think it's astonishing. On the Starmer note, I mean, I know, Mitchell, you're a fan. But what do you not feel there's a deeply disturbing aspect to the way he's purging any opinion that sort of doesn't chime with his? And I think that's where Angela Rayner is quite an interesting sort of challenge for him, because she's been recorded, I think, in a mosque. I'm not too sure if it was in her constituency. She said that she would vote for a Palestinian state, if they were elected. Is she kind of currying favor there, or courting favor with her Muslim, grassroots? She's also said that she believes Diane Abbott should stand. Her stance is being described as unhelpful by Labour, Keir Starmer purists. I think, Diane Abbott is being characterized as a Corbynista. Whatever you think of Corbyn, and I've talked a lot about how I voted for him and didn't, then I got annoyed with him and did it. But, how do we feel about this? It just feels, I just feel look, and someone said yesterday, wasn't she was slapped on the wrist for saying something that she shouldn't have said. I do think it's a stretch to say that what Diane Abbott was saying when she made her comment, whatever the original comment was, regarding how she was drawing a distinction. She did it in a very clumsy fashion. We discussed it on the day that it came out. She was trying to draw a distinction between the racism that Black people experience versus the obvious racism and prejudice that, say, Jewish people or people of the traveller community would experience. And I think the point she was trying to make, and she made it clumsily, and she acknowledged this, was that I think she was trying to talk about optics. And I think you can't dispute the fact that if you're a racist and you walk into a room and there's a Jewish person, there's someone from Yorkshire who's not Jewish and white, and there's a Black person, that racist or prejudiced person, I think the point she was trying to make was the first prejudice they're going to be able to engage in is going to be the one against the Black person, because it's optic, it's physical, it's seen. And I don't think enough airtime was given to the fact that that was what she was trying to say. And I don't know how you can judge that inaccurate. I think to equate it to ginger-haired people is not right. You can't equate what prejudice people of the traveling community or Jewish people have experienced. You can't equate it at all. But I think the point she was trying to make was that, a racist won't know optically until you've said something or revealed something, or maybe you're wearing something, that you're Jewish. And I think it was a fair point. And her point is that if you're Black, you are forever marked as someone to be prejudiced against simply because of the color of your skin. So again, no nuance in politics, no nuance at all. So she ticked all the right boxes. So she apologized. Then she did an anti-Semitism awareness course. And then still they didn't really kind of decide whether she could stay in the party. And then right now, right up against selection of candidates, there's this huge fuss and nonsense. And as we've seen Keir Starmer allowing a keen, I would say almost rabid Zionist to run in North Durham, you sort of feel, hang on a minute, isn't there there's a real kind of difference in treatment of different people in the party. And I don't think it's being called out enough. Now, of course, this plays to the Conservatives a bit, and Labour are in a bit of a muddle. And I think Angela Rayner is the kind of wild card. I've gone from, I kind of slightly sort of feel like I'm kind of fingers crossed and hoping she's kind of just a landmine waiting to go off. I mean, maybe she'll, and it's not about it's just about not being so two-faced and opportunistic. So I can't sign up with him. Me too, but I think Starmer is simply clearing house of Corbynistas because he wants to get this all out of the way now. I know, but then what are we left with? No one who can challenge him, no one who can ask questions. And I think the danger is if you weaponize the ability to ask anything or have any opinion that doesn't chime with whatever his mainstream narrative is. Again, we're in danger. Me too. Remember, it's not just Starmer. He's one person. This is an operation. The selections are about who can win over the most votes in an area. No, I get it. But Jane Bentley, can't anyone make a mistake and learn from it? I agree. I just think Diane Abbott's been treated appallingly. I think the purge of anyone who potentially likes or likes a tweet about politics. I mean, this idea that still we can't be critical of Israel. And look how quiet everything is. Look how quiet everything is again, as you know, in the aftermath. We're still in the aftermath of some awful catastrophes in Israel. In Gaza. And it's just like, you know, what? Still nothing from Rishi. Nothing. It's just, you know, and I get it. You know, this election isn't about Gaza. It's about domestic issues too. Alex Patton, Sir Keir just wants to be Prime Minister and will do anything to get it, same as all the rest. I agree. And I can just see it in his eyes. You can see it in his smile. You can see it in the way he walks the walk and he talks the talk. You know what? I haven't actually heard a word from him yet. But change, apart from change, we've got 6 pledges. We're going to make bad things bad. We're going to make good things good. We're going to make sure the NHS is better. We're going to make sure water is drinkable. On which note, actually, Surrey, anyone in Surrey? Thames Water, big warning. Thames Water issues urgent do not drink warning to hundreds of Surrey homes. So Croydon's been hit. Surrey's been hit. Well, Croydon's kind of in Surrey. Do not drink water in Surrey. It could get you. Now, we're not going to be talking too much about Gaza, but I do want to flag up quite a serious technical detail on the Gaza story. The Guardian is reporting this, and it's a really important story. This, the U.S. State Department, Stacey Gilbert was a senior advisor in the government. She's, I believe, she's Jewish herself too. She left the State Department. She left her post as senior civil military advisor in the State Department on Tuesday because she couldn't tolerate the U.S. states, the U.S. government's kind of approach to whether Israel has been using its weaponry in a genocidal breaking of international law fashion. Now, she's kind of, I don't know if you would call her a whistleblower, but basically she's claiming that the US State Department falsified the report that basically sought to absolve Israel on Gaza aid. I don't know if you remember, there was that report that said it was reasonable to think or reasonable to assess that Israel had used US weapons in a way that was inconsistent with international humanitarian law. This was that moment a couple of weeks ago where they said, yes, Israel are using our weapons illegally, but there's not enough concrete evidence for us to not keep supplying them. Quite an astonishing. At that point, that's the moment in an argument where someone says, I'm not real, you're not here, I'm disappearing down a hole. And you go, I don't know what to say here. Literally, there was nothing you could say. Yeah, they're killing everyone, but we're not doing anything about it. Yeah, they're being illegal, but we're not going to do anything about it. Yeah, they're using our weapons, but we're not going to do anything about it. It's like, but anyway, so she left. But she says that basically, she says that they falsified the report. This has the potential to be a massive story if the mainstream media wants to pick this up. The Guardian has. She said that and she has said, she's 20 years in the State Department. She has said this, that the report's conclusion went against the overwhelming majority view of all State Department experts who were consulted. So the American government has lied to the American population and to the world in their assessment of Israel. And Tumbleweed, fascinated to know what will happen to her. Gilbert was one of 2 US officials to resign this week over the Biden administration's Gaza policy. Alexander Smith, a contractor for the US Agency for International Development, resigned on Monday, said he was given a choice between resignation or dismissal after preparing a presentation on maternal and child mortality among Palestinians, which was then cancelled at the last minute. I mean, the American State Department is cancelling, censoring, monitoring, and restricting truth-telling around what is happening. I mean, there is now no doubt that the American administration, not all Americans, but the American administration is directly culpable in this genocide. This isn't. They are lying. This is when we always know it and everyone talks about it. No country is pure. Every country has self-interest. But when it's so blindingly obvious and it's stated on the tin, there is now no shadow of doubt. And the reason this is worrying and the reason this is important is this sends a message out to every single country in the world that essentially, and I can't remember who was saying it, unfortunately, you're in trouble when you listen to a speech by the president or prime minister, the leader of Turkey, and you go, oh my God, because his track record is dubious to say the least. And you think, oh my God, he's absolutely right. Well, at the end of the day, international law is only applicable in the ways that America and the British want it to be. And when I say British, I'm not bigging us up. The UK is America's gimp. They've got us on a leash. They slap us around a bit. They make us sit in the corner, gibbering away. We are the gimp. We are America's gimp. It's as simple as that. And the world sees us as that. It's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. When people go, the election isn't about Gaza. The implications for this are enormous. It's almost getting to the point where I'm slightly worried. I've been talking about this with Nads, and she was like, I don't know if we should talk about that. But we are getting to a little bit of a tipping point where I think the transparency of what's happening and what the intentions of Western leaders are and Western governments, certainly the US and UK, is becoming so transparent and undeniable that it's almost like, when you've broken so much and you think, I've just got to smash it all up and start again. I mean, I can't think of a situation where that might happen, but it's like you've made so many mistakes. I don't know, you're making something, cooking something, you think, fuck it, I've just got to chuck it all in the bin and start again. I've got this horrible feeling that America is just at that point where they're kind of going, shitting hell, this is all such a mess, we might just have to start World War III. But of course, they won't do it in the way that they say Putin wants to do it. Putin will be like, I'll fire an missile. It's going to happen in a different way. I've just got this horrible feeling that behind the scenes, there's just this, they know they're in sort of up to their neck. And it's all dubious. They need to create and manufacture some kind of obvious other thing that they can get everyone around again. Thus, national service. Thus, the potential for NATO. Do you know what I mean? The feeling, my sense. I don't know. I hope this isn't one of those things in a year's time where you go, oh my God, Mark, you said it. But I've got this horrible feeling that secretly the West wants global conflict, and they are nudging a little bit like Israel's poking the bear all the time around them, poking at Iran when they hit the consulate, poking at Lebanon, poking at Jordan, poking at, they poke. And I've just got this feeling that America is doing the same thing. I mean, let's face it. They've just said to Ukraine, you can fire some of our fucking missiles into Russia. I mean, come on, guys. Even if you're saying this, maybe say it privately. Do we wonder, why are they broadcasting this stuff? It worries me. It really does worry me. And of course, the narrative will be that it's the aggression. And look, there's aggression on Putin's side, but I think we mustn't be lulled into thinking we have no part in this. It's like a relationship. When you go to couples counselling, they go, well, look, you think it's all his fault, but actually the two of you, why are you in this relationship? You've got to ask the same question of both sides. You've got to ask the question of both sides. And I think there is a sense and a feeling, and I'm getting it, and I'm slightly concerned that the resistance and refusal, principally of America, but of the West, to actually fess up and even kind of there's a disbelief around the extent to which they're standing there thinking we will buy this shit. Israel will investigate itself. We've got no comment on that. Yes, they're breaking international law. We're still not going to do anything. No, they're not breaking. This is the red line. There is no red line. It just feels like there's a kind of provocation, a different kind of provocation happening from the West, a sort of calling in of the conflict, but at a very low level, so that when and if, it's a little bit, I hate to say it, it's a little, I think globally it's analogous with how Israel's been with Gaza. It's like keep prodding. I mean, what's happening in the West, just jumping on the West Bank for a minute, what they're trying to do there, there's been 2 or 3 armed resistance or resistance flare-ups. And you can see that there is a struggle and a difficulty with them being able to call this a Hamas flare-up. Because what have we, we've talked about it before, is any resistance against Israel by any Palestinian always Hamas? Is it? Is there a situation in which you can have any kind of self-defense? And if not, what is going on in the West Bank is it feels like Israel, through the settlements and the treatment and the lockdown and the curfews and the arresting, it feels like they're goading, provoking, they're constricting, and they're wanting an extremism to bite in the West Bank so they can likewise hit there. Israel now has control of the Gaza Strip. They've now cut off the Egyptian border. Egypt isn't happy. We're at the most tense moment ever, or in the last 20 years. It's the most tense situation between Egypt and Israel. It breaks with, I forget the accords, but there are all sorts of kind of, treaties and agreements. What they're doing in controlling the Gaza border. So, that's tense. Everything just feels provocative. But anyway, let's get to Loaded magazine just quickly, and then we do the Friday quiz. I haven't seen Faith in the room. I hope you're okay, Faith. I know you're dealing with all sorts of posthumous stuff. I've realised that. So sending Faith all our love. Jane Bentley, I was thinking about Teddy and what you said. Maybe they had great intentions at the beginning, and Israel was a peaceful nation, but they are that balls deep. There is no turning back. Look, I mean, we've even had former prime ministers of Israel admitting that Netanyahu has equipped, armed, and supported, is it Ehud Barak? Supported Hamas. I mean, it's such a mess, and it's so well reported, and it's so out there. But it's when these press officers and press briefings happen, it's like they don't think any of us know what's going on. That's the bit that frightens me. They genuinely think we're stupid, or they don't care. And I think they don't. It's just they don't care. They don't care. They genuinely don't care. They couldn't give a fuck, and that's the worry. And of course, if Trump gets in, it's going to get worse. I mean, Biden is unforgivable, and Blinken, what a Blinken idiot. What a little whipping boy. We might be America's gimp, but Blinken is definitely Israel's gimp. There's a lot of gimping going on the world stage, isn't there? Mahogany tables and gimps. Anyway. Okay, yeah, so Loaded magazine. Who remembers Loaded magazine? Loaded magazine was the geezer magazine from the 90s? I think it was 95. And they're talking about bringing it back. And the only reason I wanted to talk about this, and I think it might be quite a good one for How to Stay Married. James Brown, who was the editor of it. What's my memory of Loaded? Does anyone have any memories of Loaded? For me, I think was Loaded the magazine that put Gail Porter on the front, was it? And then it was projected onto was that? Maybe that was another magazine. But Loaded Magazine was that kind of geezer sort of, they kind of made it, you know, they'd have pretty women on the front, but it wasn't just pretty women. It would be football, but they tried to, it was laddish. It was the blokes. It was, do you remember how we used to always work with Sarah Cox? There was the kind of ladettes and there were the lads mag. Yeah, exactly, Jane. You know, and, you know, and it was kind of, but it was kind of like, well, not entirely dissimilar to what I think Keir Starmer's trying to be. It was kind of geezer chatty, maybe a bit more kind of intelligent geezer chatty than just stupid geezer chatty. Interesting, Mitri, you'll remember, is lots of scantily clad girls, high street honeys, that sort of thing. Yeah, a lad mag for the more intelligent male. Elaine Denning, you've summed it up perfectly. Well, James Brown, who was the original editor on it, and I used to interview him lots back in the day with various companies we worked for. You know, you used to have what you call rent-a-gob, and so you would, like, whenever we did art stuff, we'd bring in Brian Sewell because everyone wanted to knock the art so they could talk about the art. And James Brown was someone that we'd often go and interview because he's the editor of the magazine and he'd talk about most media stories from his perspective. But he's done a really funny piece where he's talking about the magazine and whether he thinks it could take off and whether it would be any good. And he's saying, he clarifies that they only had, I think, 11 covers that had scantily clad women on the front. He says invariably it's usually people who didn't like or even read Loaded who get the column inches to talk about it. This debate tends to focus on what that lad's market became. Flesh, where covers full of naked boobs, barely covered by splayed hands, sat side by side across the middle shelves. He says that the original magazine had far more to do with self-deprecating humor and a full range of subjects, and that the porn mag in disguise trope is a little bit unfair. He said in the first 3 years, we only ran 10 covers with women and only 2 were wearing swimwear. And I just wonder, but he does say this thing about, is it ever all right to kind of is it ever all right for the male gaze to look at a woman and go, oh, I fancy her? And I just thought it was an interesting debate. Is, you know, yes, because I think when you look back, the kind of, you know, gender politics were up the creek, that sort of ladette culture where, so I mean, again, you know, certain women would kind of engage in sort of what they would call lad behavior. There was a girly show, wasn't there, as well? There was a girly show. But is it ever okay to look at a woman and go, oh, wow, she's really nice? To be fair, Mitri, they also had articles on how to please women in them. Every cover had women showing curves. Nothing wrong with that, but it was about sex appeal. Yeah, it's and I don't know what I just find it, you know, it was that Frank Skinner thing. It was the whole kind of David Baddiel thing, fantasy football, you know, sort of intelligent humor, gallows humor, laddie humor. I mean, I suppose have we got to such a sort of hypersensitive state that men are unable? Are we saying men are unable to kind of have a laugh about women sexually without it being dark? Or without it kind of subscribing or nibbling at the edges of Potato Head, you know who he is. Do you know what I mean? And it's difficult. It's a difficult one because I think as a man now, not that I ever really, but when I was younger, I mean, I suppose it would be different if I was in my 20s now. Do young men feel they can't, in a very non-aggressive way, in a very non-prurient way, in a non-predatory way? Do younger men, I'd be interested to know, do younger men feel they can't even sort of say, oh, she's nice? I suppose it's about not letting, it's all the things of not doing it in the street, not saying it out loud, it's all about context, says Chris White. I'm interested to hear from blokes on this. What do women think? Any behavior that makes someone feel uncomfortable is wrong. Absolutely. Well, and therein lies the point, Chris, because then what makes one person feel uncomfortable might not make someone else feel uncomfortable, I suppose. Anna Marie Shellard, I worked for women in a country house years ago. They were terrible when the gardener and builders came, proper posh pervs. The blokes never complained, though, made my skin crawl. It's funny you should say that. I remember as a student, I mean, I was so naive. I remember as a student being employed in this village to just cut hedges, and it was a summer work. And it was so hot, and I had a chainsaw, And I was chainsawing this, and this woman, this was in my girlfriend's village, family village, and yeah, she had a huge fucking garden, by the way. What a beautiful garden it was. Anyways, I was doing this hedge. Incidentally, I was doing this hedge, and so, and I fell back, and the chainsaw nearly took my arm off anyway, and I severed through the power circuit running into the house. Of course, I come back up the ladder, and I go, I won't say her name in case she's still. Anyway, I shouted the woman's name, and as I shouted the name, there was her and 4 other women, just going back to your comment, Anna, and they were all just like that, just looking. And at the time, I didn't realise. I went back and I said to my girl, I said, that's really weird. They were all, I nearly killed myself, nearly chopped my arm off. And then but they were such and such, and all her mates were all there. She said, oh, it's because you were like topless doing the. So funny. Yeah, I mean, is it all right not to be pervy, but is it all right to admire? I mean, are we in a situation where we must always, and okay, so if we don't do it in public, is it all right to have a magazine that in a slightly intelligent fashion indulges in enjoying beautiful women? Is that okay? I don't know. You know what I mean? Even as I'm talking about it, I feel like I'm saying something awfully wrong, and I don't know why. Because I don't feel anything. Do you know what I mean? Is there anything wrong with going, wow, she's nice? I'm okay with the look but don't touch mentality. Yeah, I'm all right with the look but don't touch. And I'm also all right with I think it's about how the look, the collective look, but then who's the judge of that? Who can be the judge of that odd look? Laura Lou, it seems okay to admire beauty but not sexy. That's a good point. Yeah, and I like. Oh, I'm going to share that. That's a great point. It seems okay to admire beauty, but not sexy. Wonder why? It's a great one for Nads to chew over. I think they should discuss this on Loose, don't you? Loaded magazine, and the whole kind of geezer. The whole geezer. Where's our magazines, Mark? Us ladies might like some CNE nails. Good point. Do it both ways. Loaded. You could have a woman's magazine. Unloaded. Last night's vlog was great, wasn't it? Do check out the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful works of art in there. Absolutely beautiful. I won't say too much. Go and check it out. Chris White, this is useful. As a father of teenage boys, I'm impressed by how this generation seems to navigate the sex appeal issue. Respectful, but attraction is acknowledged. Much of it is about the agency young women feel now. I like that. Thank you for that. Good Ship Lollipop. I keep thinking of you now in a Shirley Temple's outfit. You know what I mean? The nude was painted for centuries for a reason. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's all about good taste, says Carla Hatcham. It's nice to admire others. It comes down to, Matt, is that Mart Cooper? Hi, Mart. It comes down to common sense. We should judge the boundaries from their body language. Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if someone's all right with being admired, can you shift? I don't know. Yeah, they did, Elaine. They discussed this a few days ago, and it had Janet's support. Yeah, I don't think you can't. I don't think you can say you can't publish anything. I think it's fine. Don't women go nuts at Chippendale shows? I've never been to one. It's that's quite a stereotypical thing. You're right. I mean, I have to say I have that sort of idea that it's all okay if it's. But weirdly, even that the Chippendales, there's something sort of distanced, and I don't know. It's odd. I find all that stuff odd. Sarah D, just quickly. Sorry. I was pissing myself at last night, same time. You and Ty walking through London. I'm pleased you like that line. You see what you are when you're around. She said, you see, Nanny Di said that thing of, when you're pregnant, everyone seems to be pregnant. And when you've got a walker stick, everyone's got a walker stick. I just said, yes. I've just seen 28 twats. Bless you. Bless you. The witterings of mum and son, eh? Okay, well, what does that lead us to? Have we done everything? Oh, Gen Z is living lies. Oh, I think we might have to do that another day. It's a weird one. Half of Gen Zs are living a double life with a totally different persona online than they have in real life. We'll get to that another day, I think. So, quiz of the week. For those of you who want to join in. For those of you who don't, have a lovely day. Some other content will be landing on the channel. Curly Cooks tomorrow, Coffee Moaning as normal. A live Sunday show on Sunday, but it will be a later live Sunday show. Because, of course, it's our anniversary. So let's get to it, shall we? Let's get ready to rumble. Here we go. So question 1. Singer Lana Del Rey revealed that producers of the James Bond series turned down a song she wrote for one of their films. What was the track called? Sia Sophia. Was it called A, 24, B, Born to Die, or C, Pretty When You Cry? Thank you, Bonnie. What was the song by Lana Del Rey that they turned down for James Bond? Was it A, 24, B, Born to Die, or C, Pretty When You Cry? God, this song is killing me. I was basically a physical Steadicam yesterday for about 6 hours, and it was just like, this elbow is completely buggered. It's A, 24. Question 2. MPs rushed to get legislation through Parliament after Sunak announced an election. Which of these bills did not make it through before Parliament was stopped? Which of these did not make it through? A, the Criminal Justice Bill, B, the Pet Abduction Bill, or C, the Victims and Prisoners Bill? See you later, Vicky. Is it A, the Criminal Justice Bill, B, the Pet Abduction Bill, or C, the Victims and Prisoners Bill? It's you're coming in, just hit it. A, B, or C. It's A, Criminal Justice Bill. You're very quick. Question 3. Rafael Nadal was knocked out in the first round of tennis's French Open. His opponent, Zverev, was just the third man to beat him in Paris. Novak Djokovic had beaten Nadal twice. Who was the other player to do so? Was it A, Roger Federer, B, Andy Roddick, or C, Robin Soderling? Haven't got a fucking clue. I'm just going to guess. Double down. Yeah. Rafa. Yeah. Did you get the question, Rafa? Nadal was knocked out in the first round of tennis's French Open. His opponent, Zverev, was just the third man to beat him in Paris. Djokovic had beaten Nadal twice. Who was the other player to do so? Was it A, Roger Federer, B, Andy Roddick, or C, Robin Soderling? April Hill is right. C. Hate that question. Horrible question. Question 4. Best-selling American author Jodi Picoult told the Hay Literary Festival that having 2 of her books banned in school districts in some US states is not a badge of honor. What is the name of her book about a school shooting that has been banned? Is it A, By Any Other Name, B, My Sister's Keeper, or C, 19 Minutes? Is it A, By Any Other Name, B, My Sister's Keeper, or C, 19 Minutes? I think there's a bit of a delay going on. Oh, yeah, I can see that. YouTube. Yeah, the answer is C, 19 minutes. Question 5. A newly authenticated painting by Caravaggio went on show at the Prado Museum in Madrid. What's the name of the work? Is it A, Crowning with Thorns? Sounds painful to crown with thorns. B, Ecce Homo, or C, Taking of Christ? I'm presuming Ecce Homo is Latin for, I don't know, aren't I lovely? Is it A, Crowning with Thorns, B, Ecce Homo, or C, Taking of Christ? What say you all? A number of you saying A. Fuck no, says Hannah Wood. They've held that back, but I can see it. It's Ecce Homo, looking gorgeous. B. Question 6. A grandmother of 3 became the world's oldest international cricketer when she played for Gibraltar. Aged 66, what did Sally Barton say was her daily secret to her sporting longevity? Was it A, a dram of whiskey, B, dark chocolate, or C, yoga? So grandmother, 66-year-old granny cricketer Sally Barton. What does she hold accountable for her wondrous sporting longevity? A, a dram of whiskey, B, dark chocolate, or C, yoga? Tracy Watts says C. Nick W says B. Russ Souch, how are you, matey? Says B, and Carla does, and Muqtahadir Ali, you say B. It's dark chocolate, B. And final question, number 7. Tributes were paid to Disney film composer Richard M. Sherman, who died aged 95. For which song from Mary Poppins did he win an Oscar? Was it A, Chim Chimmery, B, Feed the Birds, or C, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? Which of those did he win an Oscar for? Chim Chimmery, Chim Chimmery, Chim Chim Cheree. Or was it B, feed the birds? Or was it C, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? The sound of it is surely quite atrocious. All of you saying the C, it's not, it's A, it's Chim Chimmery. Muqtadir Ali, you are right. Well done, you. I did catastrophically there. How did you all do? I got 4. I didn't know I got 3. I'm lying. Okay, guys, have a lovely day. Lots of love. We will see you in the morning. And as I say, go and check out last night's vlog. Really, really, really moving, really sensational, and some great wittering from me and my ma.